Welcome to JT Scary Tales. 3-5 Nights at Freddy's stories that will haunt you forever. Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, where childhood dreams turn into nightmares. Some say it's just a game, just a story, but what if it's more than that? Tonight, we bring you 3 terrifying tales of a boy obsessed with Freddy, a gamer who played too long, and a security guard who never should have taken the job. But be warned, once you step inside, you may never escape. This is 5 Nights at Freddy's like you've never heard before. Story 1. The Boy Who Loved Animatronics. I still remember the first time I stepped into Freddy Bear's Funhouse. The name sounded silly at first, but the moment I entered, I was hooked. The air was thick with the scent of pizza, and the walls echoed with the laughter of children. But none of that compared to the magic on the stage. Standing under the flickering spotlights were the animatronic mascots, Freddy Bear, Rusty the Fox, Penny the Chicken, and Jolly the Rabbit. Something about them fascinated me in a way nothing else ever had. My parents and friends didn't understand. They said the animatronics were creepy, uncanny, unnatural, but not to me. To me, they felt alive. I would beg my parents to take me there as often as possible. We weren't rich, so visits were rare, but whenever I walked through those doors, I felt like the happiest kid in the world. The arcade, the games, and the pizza were great, but what I truly loved were Freddy and his friends. I needed to know how they worked. I'd watch their movements, study the way they twitched and blinked, and I always had a burning question in my mind: what made them so special? Then one day, I met him, the mysterious man in the corner. It was late, and the last show had just ended. My parents were about to take me home when I spotted a man sitting alone at the back of the dining area. He wore a staff t-shirt and was eating a slice of pizza. But something about him felt different from the other workers. Even from across the room, I could tell he was sweaty, greasy, and strangely thin. His eyes darted around as if he was watching everything. But no one was watching him. Something inside me told me he knew the secrets of the animatronics. I excused myself to go to the bathroom, but instead, I walked straight up to him. "Excuse me, sir," I said, "do you work here?" The man looked up from his pizza, chewing slowly. Then, he smiled, a wide, unsettling grin that revealed yellowed, uneven teeth. "I do," he said. "I play Jolly the Rabbit. Just taking a break before the last show." I could hardly believe it. "You mean, you know how Freddy and his friends work?" His grin widened. "Of course I do, kid. What do you want to know?" I fired off every question I had been storing in my mind. "How do the animatronics move? Do they have personalities? Can they see us?" He answered each one, his voice smooth and eerie. I was mesmerized. As my parents called for me, I knew I only had time for one last question. "How do you know so much?" I asked. The man leaned in close, his breath reeking of grease and old cheese. "You want to know a secret?" he whispered. "I own this place." My heart skipped a beat. "No way. It's true," he said, eyes gleaming. "And I'll prove it to you. Meet me here after the last show. Look for Jolly the Rabbit." Then he stood and walked away. The forbidden door. I couldn't resist. After the last show, my mom went to the bathroom, leaving my dad to watch me. As soon as he got distracted, I slipped away. I returned to the back of the dining hall and waited. Then, he appeared. Jolly the Rabbit lurched into view, its massive metal frame twitching under the dim lighting. It lifted one heavy arm and waved me over. I followed without thinking. The mascot walked toward the back of the building, down a hallway I had never noticed before. My stomach twisted with excitement and something else. Nervousness? Fear? I asked where we were going. Jolly didn't answer. Then we reached a door. The words, "Employees Only," were painted across the front in bold red letters. The mascot pushed it open, revealing a dimly lit maintenance room. I hesitated. Something felt wrong. But then, I saw Rusty the Fox standing inside, its lifeless body slumped against the wall. My heart raced. I had never been this close to an animatronic before. "Go on," Jolly said, but the voice wasn't robotic anymore. It was human. The man from earlier stepped out of the suit, peeling off the heavy rabbit head. He grinned, his real eyes now visible through the dim light. I froze. "I've been working on Rusty's circuits," he said, Come closer, I'll show you how the magic works. The trap. This was it, my dream come true. I stepped forward, barely breathing, as he reached toward Rusty's metallic chest. With a slow creak, he opened it, revealing a maze of wires, gears, and something else. It wasn't magic, it was teeth. Rows and rows of steel teeth, hidden behind the outer shell. A mechanical mouth. Suddenly, my skin turned to ice. I backed away. The man's hand shot out, grabbing my wrist in a vice grip. I screamed. He yanked me forward, towards Rusty's open chest, but I kicked and thrashed, slipping free at the last second. I ran for the door, but something grabbed my shoulders. Jolly the rabbit. The suit had moved. The man laughed, a low, guttural sound that made my stomach twist. No more running, kid, you're gonna join the family. The last show. I fought as hard as I could, but I was too small. He shoved me inside Rusty's open metal frame. I could feel the cold metal against my skin. I screamed. Then, the pieces clicked shut. I was trapped. The last thing I saw was the man's twisted grin. Then, darkness. And then, pain. Blinding, searing pain. But only for a moment. Then, nothing. The one who watches. I don't know how long it's been, but I never left Rusty. Somehow, I became part of him. Now, I stand in the back of the room, watching, waiting. No one knows I'm here. No one knows what happened to me. But at night, when the lights go out, I wander, and sometimes, I see another kid, just like I was. A kid who loves Freddy Bear and his friends. A kid who wants to know the secrets. And when they do, I hope they run faster than I did. The end. This version keeps the core story but enhances the horror, intensity, and pacing. It also adds more suspense and a terrifying twist at the end. Let me know if you'd like any adjustments. Face mask eyes. Story 2. The gamer who took it too far. I've always been a huge horror game fan, but nothing ever got under my skin quite like Five Nights at Freddy's. It wasn't just a game to me, it was a puzzle. A mystery, something waiting to be uncovered. For months, I spent every spare moment trying to find secrets no one else had. I read forums, analyzed every frame of gameplay, and dug into obscure theories online. Some people joked that I was obsessed. They were right, but I never expected that obsession to lead me into something real. Something I couldn't escape. The search for the ultimate secret. It was early 2016, and Five Nights at Freddy's 2 had been out for a while. By then, most players had figured out its secrets. But rumors persisted. On Reddit, deep in obscure forums, people whispered about a hidden level, one that no one had ever been able to access. Some claimed that the game's creator, Scott Cawthon, had made a deal with something dark to ensure the game's success. And buried within it was a reference to that deal. I laughed it off at first, until I saw a post that changed everything. There's a level that isn't in the files. You don't find it, it finds you. The user who posted it deleted their account right after. That should have been my first clue to stop. But I didn't. The night it started. One Saturday night, my parents went to a work party, leaving me home with my little brother, Eli. He was 12, old enough to take care of himself. So we didn't interact much. I had only one goal that night. Find the secret level. I locked myself in my room, laptop open, and started experimenting with game settings, difficulty levels, and obscure patterns. I was determined to find something. And then, I did. At exactly 2:33 a.m., the game froze, then crashed, then reopened on its own. My stomach tightened. The title screen looked normal. But when I selected New Game, it didn't load Night 1. Instead, the screen glitched, and a new level appeared. Welcome to Nightmare Mode. I stared at the words. This wasn't in the game. Not in any update. Not in any mod. But before I could react, a loud knock sounded at my bedroom door. Something was wrong. At first, I thought it was Eli. But when I glanced at the bottom of the door, there was no light coming from the hallway. We always left the lights on at night. So why was it pitch black? I swallowed hard. Eli? I called. No response. Another knock. Louder. I slowly reached for my phone. No signal. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to not open the door. Instead, I turned back to my laptop. The game was still running. The screen flickered, then displayed something that made my blood run cold. "Don't leave, don't look away." I barely had time to process it before the knock turned into pounding. Like someone, or something, was trying to break in. I turned off my laptop. Instantly, the noise stopped. I sat in silence, my breath shaky. That was enough for one night. Or so I thought. The nightmare begins. The next morning, everything seemed fine. My phone had signal again. Eli acted normal, completely unaware of what had happened. But something wasn't right. My laptop wouldn't turn off. Even when I shut it down, it powered itself back on. Every time, it opened the game automatically, and no matter what I did, it was always stuck on nightmare mode. I tried to delete it. I wiped the hard drive. I even bought a new laptop. Nothing worked. The game wouldn't let me go. And then, things started happening in real life. The thing in the dark. It began with small things. Objects in my room moved when I wasn't looking. My chair would be slightly pulled out. My closet door cracked open just a bit. Then, one night, I woke up to the sound of my computer turning on by itself. The screen glowed in the darkness. Nightmare mode was still running. "Welcome back." A new message had appeared on the screen. "Look behind you." I froze. Something breathed against my neck. I spun around, but nothing was there. I barely slept after that. But the worst part? The game started talking to me. "You can't hide." A week later, while playing, I heard a whisper through my headphones. Not the game's normal sound effects. It was something else. Something that knew me. "You've seen me before, haven't you?" I yanked the headphones off, my hands shaking. But the whisper continued. "I see you." The voice wasn't coming from my computer anymore. It was coming from inside my room. I ran out of the house that night. When I returned the next morning, my laptop was open. A new message was waiting. "Don't run again. Next time, I won't let you." The final game. I tried everything to escape it. I disconnected the internet. I threw my laptop in the trash. But every night, the game would be back. It didn't need my computer anymore. It was inside my house. One night, after waking up to the sound of scratching from inside my closet, I knew I had one last option. I sat down, turned the laptop on, and loaded the game. If I wanted to end this, I had to finish what I started. The moment I clicked continue, the screen flickered, the room went ice cold, and a final message appeared. "Welcome to your last night." The vanishing. That was the last time I played. No one knows what happened to me that night. Not even Eli. Because in the morning, I was gone. All he found was my laptop, the game still running. There was only one new message on the screen. "Game over. You're with US now." The end. This version enhances the horror by making the game bleed into reality, giving the protagonist an inescapable fate. It also increases psychological terror and the mystery of the unseen entity. Let me know if you want any tweaks. I's video game. Story 3. The Night Shift at Freddy's. I never wanted this job. But desperate times call for desperate measures. After months of unemployment, I had no choice but to take what I could get. That's how I ended up at Freddy's Funhouse, a local pizzeria known for its animatronic mascots and unsettling, run-down atmosphere. I heard the rumors, the missing employees, the strange movements at night. But I told myself it was just a job. I was so wrong. Welcome to the night shift. The manager, a man named Mr. Reynolds, barely even looked at me during my orientation. He just led me to the security office. A small, dimly lit room cluttered with old monitors, a desk fan, and a single flickering fluorescent light. The air smelled like stale pizza and something else, something rotten. Reynolds cleared his throat. "All right, Lucas, here's the deal," he said. "You sit here from midnight to 6 a.m. Watch the cameras. Make sure no one breaks in. And, his voice trailed off as he rubbed the back of his neck. Keep an eye on the animatronics." I frowned. "What do you mean, keep an eye on them?" He let out a nervous chuckle. "They sometimes move around at night." I stared at him. "They what?" Reynolds forced a tight smile. "Just stay in the office. Lock the doors if you have to. Don't waste too much power." And with that, he left. I sat there, staring at the grainy security feeds, feeling something deeply wrong in my gut. Then, as the clock struck 12 a.m., the cameras flickered, and the nightmare began. The first night. At first, everything seemed fine. The cameras displayed the dining area, the hallways, and the main stage. There they were, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, just standing there, lifeless. Or so I thought. An hour passed, nothing changed. Then, at 1:27 a.m., the feed glitched. For a second, the screen turned to static, and when it cleared, Bonnie was gone. I blinked. I flipped through the feeds, my heart hammering, and then I saw him, standing in the hallway, facing the camera, his lifeless, hollow eyes staring right at me. I swallowed hard. This has to be some kind of joke. Then, the lights flickered, and suddenly, Bonnie was closer. Don't let them in. My hand hovered over the security door controls. Bonnie was at the end of the hall, unmoving. I took deep breaths, trying to convince myself this was normal. Then, another glitch. Chica had moved too. She was now in the kitchen, her mechanical face grinning in the dark. The sound of clattering metal filled the speakers, like pots and pans being knocked over. Then came a sound I wasn't expecting. A laugh. It was deep, robotic, and unnatural. I cycled through the cameras, heart pounding, and that's when I saw him. Freddy, his cold, dead grin staring at me through the dining hall camera, his mouth slightly open, as if whispering something. And then, the power flickered again. My battery was draining. I had to be careful. I had to survive the night. They know I'm here. At 3 a.m., things got worse. Bonnie was outside my door. I slammed the security door shut, breathing heavily. Chica was in the west hallway. Freddy? Nowhere to be found. That was somehow worse. The cameras glitched again, and this time, a new image appeared. A distorted face, barely visible. The text at the bottom of the screen read, "It's me." My skin went cold. Then, the lights shut off. Everything plunged into darkness. The office was silent, except for the sound of footsteps. The final hour. I sat there, holding my breath. My flashlight was the only source of light. I pointed it toward the hallway. Empty. Then, I heard it, a mechanical wheeze. I turned the flashlight toward the corner of the room, and saw him, Freddy, standing inside the office, his lifeless eyes locked onto mine. Then, he moved. His head twitched, his mouth opened just slightly, and a low, garbled voice whispered, "You can't leave." My body froze. This was it. 6 a.m. Just as Freddy lunged, the clock struck 6. The room filled with chimes. Freddy stopped. His glowing eyes dimmed, and then, he turned away, walking back into the darkness. The lights flickered back on. The cameras returned to normal. And just like that, it was over. I stumbled out of the office, my hands shaking. Mr. Reynolds was waiting at the front desk. "You survived," he said, smiling. "Congrats." I stared at him. What the hell was that? He sighed. "You'll get used to it." I turned and looked at the lifeless animatronics on the stage. Still, unmoving. But as I walked away, I could have sworn Freddy turned his head just slightly, watching me, waiting for me to return. The nightmare isn't over. I told myself I wouldn't come back, that no paycheck was worth this. But the next night, I returned, because deep down, I knew they weren't done with me yet. The end. Thanks for watching. Do you love spine-chilling stories and eerie mysteries? You've come to the right place. At JT Scary Tales, we bring you the most terrifying and thrilling scary tales from around the world. From haunted places to unexplained phenomena, our scary tales will keep you on the edge of your seat. Subscribe now and dive into the dark world of scary tales.